Hello everybody, I am Maya, and let's talk about what to do if you are experiencing a YOD transit or activation, or if you are a YOD-Bearer yourself. Now, some of you may be thinking, what the heck is a YOD? What is a YOD and why are you offering me tips about it? So a YOD is a concept in astrology. It's basically an isosceles triangle that forms between different planets in a person's natal chart. It is formed by two connections is what they're called, which will look like dotted green lines in your chart, and they must be connected by one sextile connection, which will look like a nice blue line in most charts. There are many reasons why YODs are significant. One reason is because they indicate that a person has a special destiny, or if they are formed temporarily, they can indicate a moment of destiny. But also YODs are significant and take some getting used to because they are formed by three planets or points, all of which do not agree with each other in any particular way. So without going into too much explanation, just try to imagine of everybody that you know in your life, imagine the three people that you know who are the most dissimilar. The three people in your life that you know who have the least in common, or who you think would get along the least well. Then imagine that all of those people are going to come together, those three people, and they're going to have a meeting. And in that meeting, they are going to determine your fate. They are going to determine the fate of your future. Okay? And that's basically a YOD. That's what's happening in a YOD. It's three planets who fundamentally don't agree in energy on anything, and they're coming together to determine your destiny. So, as you can imagine, these planets, when in a YOD formation, they can make us feel a little confused, right? Because we have these three opposing energies within ourselves that are all connected. And that can lead to feelings of insecurity, feelings of restlessness, feelings of anxiety, feelings of confusion. And that can really mess up our life, especially if we act from a place of those feelings. The point of this video is to offer tips about how to cope and how to deal and how to approach moments where your YODs are active. YODs will basically be formed by three planets or points that are all around the same degree, or probably all within 1 degree of each other. So this is my chart, and you'll see that I have several YODs, and all of them are formed by planets between 13.5 and 14 degrees. So a good way to know if you are experiencing a YOD transit is to look at the present position of the planets, which I like to do on currentplanetarypositions.com or on my ephemeris table. And you want to look for planets that are at about the same degree as your YOD. And almost any time that any planet, for me for example, is around 14 degrees, it will activate my YODs. If your YOD is active, here's what you could do. So I'm going to offer 8 tips, and these are not my tips. These are tips from this book right here, The YOD Book, The YOD Book by Karen Zondag. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but this is a summary of her principles, okay? They're not Maya KahNah principles, but I do follow them, and they do work. So the first principle, if you're experiencing a YOD transit, is to know your expectations. So a lot of times we can feel the pressure building, we can feel the energy building of our YOD, and it can cause us to expect that a certain thing is going to happen. And what typically happens during a YOD transit is that unexpected things happen. So one thing that we can pretty much guarantee is that whatever you expect to happen in your life during a YOD transit, that very thing almost definitely will not happen, okay? So I don't say that to be the bearer of bad news, but I say that because YODs bring the unexpected, and YODs redirect us. They're like moments of karma, not in a bad way, but karma in the sense that they're things that were planned in advance before we incarnated to keep us on path. And so oftentimes we may be focused in this particular direction and expecting our life to move in this particular direction. Then a YOD transit comes in and all of a sudden we're moving here. That's happened to me many times in my life. So tip number 1 is to know your expectations, but then to accept that most likely things are not going to go that way, and that's okay. Your YOD will bring you into your divine destiny. Now at first it can look like, oh my gosh, my whole life is destroyed, things are not going according to plan, but what you'll actually see is that the redirection of your YOD, the way your YOD redirects your life, actually is better than the direction that your life was going. You usually will see that in retrospect. In the moment of the YOD activation, you might not see it, and you might feel like really confused, or you might feel like there's a brick wall in the direction that you want to go. But just know that your expectations will probably not be met, but that's okay, and that you're going to be fine. Tip number 2, this is the one that I like to really keep in mind, is to let things take their natural course. Try not to force anything to happen. The YODs produce a lot of restlessness and a lot of anxiety, and sometimes to deal with the energies, we can want to just do anything with them. We want to take action to put our anxiety to rest, or we want to force our particular vision to come to life. But actually, when you're experiencing a YOD transit, sometimes the best thing that you can do is nothing. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is just sit back and say, yes, I feel uncomfortable right now, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm actually just going to let things unfold naturally and see what takes place. Because again, the YOD is bringing in a moment of destiny. And one thing that you don't want to do is resist destiny or try to change destiny. You want to just kind of wait and see what transpires naturally. Tip number 3 is very similar. Let problems arise, and also let their solutions arise. So a lot of times a YOD will bring into our life a problem, a situation that seems impossible to get out of, like a true quagmire where it feels like either there's no solution to the problem or the solutions available are highly unsatisfactory. Choosing between multiple evils, for example. These are divine puzzles and divine problems, if you will, that are coming into our life. So one thing that you want to do is hesitate when you get that urge to just like try to make a decision, just to get it over with. Hesitate, don't do that. And instead, try to stay calm as you watch the problem. It could be something you've been avoiding for a long time. Like, watch the problem rise to the surface, and then don't make a decision too quick. Wait and see. Wait and see is a good principle. Let's say there's 2 main options and both are really not good. You'll often find that if you wait, a third pathway emerges, and that third path is actually the solution that you've always been looking for, even if you didn't know it. So let the problems and solutions arise in natural timing. Tip number 4, very important, don't act from your ego. Your ego is the part of yourself that wants to control everything, that wants to be recognized as an individual, that wants to be better than everybody else, that wants to compare yourself to everyone else. Don't act from your ego. Don't act from your pride, okay? Now, sometimes YOD transits can thrust us into the spotlight. That's not uncommon, actually. They can also send us deep down into the dumps, okay? But sometimes they can throw us into the limelight all of a sudden. And when that happens, it's extremely important to completely be in your integrity and to act from your heart and soul, not from your ego. Don't take advantage of the YOD transit to try to make yourself look better. Stay humble during your YOD transit. Stay humble. Don't act from your ego. Along a similar vein, don't make radical choices or changes during your YOD transit. Again, let things unfold naturally. But this is not the time to move across the country. This is not the time to end your relationship suddenly because your partner did one thing that really upset you. This is not the time to quit your job. This is not the time to make radical changes. It doesn't mean that you can't end the relationship or move or quit the job, but it's going to be better to let the YOD transit play out first and wait until things become much more clear and you're calm before making those choices. Tip number 5. I love this one. This is to do what brings you joy in this moment. Okay, things can change quickly. Things can change quickly during YOD transits. Your emotions can change really quickly, but also your physical life can change really quickly. Everything is kind of unstable and subject to change. So when you're in an energetic environment that is like that, one of the best things that you can do is just stay focused in this moment and say, okay, out of everything available, what will bring me the greatest joy right now? Just focus on now. What can I do right now that's going to help me feel joy? Tip number 6 is observe your emotions, but do not become overtaken by them. So YOD transits can be a pretty emotional time, admittedly. They can be very, very emotionally disturbing at times because we're dealing with those competing energies within us. And really fundamentally during a YOD transit, you may be of 3 minds. Like you may have one part of you who feels very good about something, another part of you that feels terrible about the same thing, and another part of you that doesn't even care about the thing in mention. Okay, for example, that would not be uncommon. So during a YOD transit, it's really a good idea to observe your emotions, to say, okay, right now I'm feeling a little insecure, okay? Right now I'm feeling a little insecure. Right now I'm feeling a little restless. Right now I'm feeling a little afraid. So to observe, know what your emotions are, but don't become overtaken by them. Don't say, right now I'm feeling a little bit restless, so therefore I am going to take action in all these different areas of my life and induce all of this change and take on all these projects so that I no longer feel restless. So just observe what you're feeling, but don't allow those emotions to overtake you. Don't act from a place of emotional imbalance, but do be aware of what your emotions are telling you. Tip number 7 is a question to ask yourself. And this question is, am I exaggerating the importance of blank? Sometimes during YOD transits, we can suddenly become very fascinated by a particular person or a particular idea or a particular belief or a particular thing in our life. And you'll probably know what that thing is because it'll probably be on your mind right now, or it'll be on your mind a lot of the times. And one pitfall of a YOD transit is we can tend to get so focused on that one particular thing that we lose sight of everything else in our life. During a YOD transit, you want to ask yourself, am I exaggerating the importance of blank? Fill in the blank. Am I exaggerating the importance of this? Chances are that you probably are exaggerating the importance of it, and I'm just completely here speaking from experience, and that's okay. That's part of the YOD experience, is that we can get really perplexed by that particular topic or theme because it's probably a theme that has been very significant to our soul, not only in this life but also in past lives. It's part of the puzzle that we're trying to work out. However, becoming hyper-focused or obsessive during a YOD transit will often lead to results that we do not want in the long term. If you find yourself exaggerating the importance of a particular thing in your life, just acknowledge that you're doing so. If you find yourself feeling that something is super, super important, and nobody else around you feels that it's important, that could be a sign that you might be exaggerating the importance of it. And in that case, just step back and just say, you know what, just for today or just in this moment, I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to wait and see what happens. I'm going to trust in the process, and I'm going to try to get some perspective. Yes, maybe this thing right here is important, or this belief system is really meaningful, but it's not the only one. There are other options available. There are other pathways in life. Tip 8, the final tip, is to stay in your integrity. So we already talked a little bit about this in regards to not acting from a place of ego. But what is really meant by this is to listen to yourself, listen to your inner compass. Stay grounded and rooted in your particular values. Don't get swept away by somebody else's belief system or something outside of yourself. During a YOD transit, it's extremely important to tune into you and to be willing to act in alignment with your personal integrity. Don't let somebody convince you to do something that you are going to regret in the end. And also, don't give your power away to an outside authority figure of any kind. During a YOD transit, you probably will have to make a choice that may feel like a really difficult choice, and always make that choice from a place of integrity and from a place of acting in accordance with what is in alignment with your personal gut instincts and what feels in alignment with your soul. Sometimes, even often during a YOD transit, we may actually have to do something that goes against what is popular. We may have to do something that goes against the norm, and very often we'll have to do something that goes against our family values, okay? We may have to make a choice that upsets mom or dad or grandpa or grandma, or that upsets tradition, because YOD people often incarnate into families to break long-standing patterns. So during your YOD transit, you may experience having to make a choice that is going to upset your family. Don't sell yourself down the river or make a choice to please somebody else. Act in alignment with your personal integrity and do what your heart and soul is telling you to do. Never, ever, ever, ever give up on your integrity. Don't do something that's out of alignment with your moral values. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't do those things. Stay in your personal integrity. Try to relax yourself, wait and see, trust in the process, and you will come out of your YOD transit bright, shiny, and new, and more in alignment with your soul's path than ever before. So I know YOD transits can be really, really difficult. They can also be amazing depending on what's happening. But either way, I'm hoping that following these principles will help you to have the best YOD experience imaginable. So to all my lovely YOD bearers and their friends and family, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to come back any Tuesday or Friday for more videos here on the Maya's Dream channel. So thank you again for watching, and namaste. Bye.